Greetings, friends of St. Bart's. It's great to be speaking to you again. If it looks like I'm a little more tanned up right now, it's because I'm on the island, and it's really wonderful to be here. I remember actually the last time I was here, this is about a year and a half ago, 2 days before I was to go home, I got a text from a friend in the US asking if I was okay. And I had no idea what they were talking about, but apparently there was an earthquake, a not insignificant earthquake in Puerto Rico, where a quick Google search showed that St. Bart's was said to be affected. Of course, I had not felt anything at that point, but I was triggered in fear. I've never dealt with anything like this before. And I was far away from my kids. Was I going to be stranded on the island? I think it was Philip that playfully mentioned tsunamis later. In theory, later he was so helpful by listening to me and helping me out of my abyss of fear, as it were. And of course, everything turned out fine, and there was no impacts from the earthquake, here in St. Bart's at least. And I've heard it said that to lower anxiety, stimulate resources. To lower anxiety, stimulate resources. Take action, reach out for support. There are things that we can do. Yet our fears and anxieties can be so powerful, right? We wish it could be easy to make them go away, but it doesn't work that way. There are endless self-help books more than eager to tell you and me how to achieve this fearless life, but it just is difficult. So all this to say, I can relate to the disciples on the boat in their panic and appeals to Jesus in the midst of this storm. And changing gears, I can also relate to Jesus. He's tired and he wanted to go to sleep. I assume because he's physically tired and also taxed and weary from giving his caring energies to so many. As you know, my profession and vocation is as a minister, and ministry has been interesting, to say the least, in the last year or so, and uniquely taxing, I would say. A mentor friend of mine a few days ago wished me well going off to St. Bart's, and he wrote this in an email. He said, "Have a wonderful time away, rest, play, and release Thads into God's good care." Thads is the church that I lead. He continued, "Any concerns at home will sadly still be here when you come back. So pack your luggage, but not your baggage." Pack your luggage, but not your baggage. I like that. In this gospel story, Jesus seems to have full confidence in the skills and capacity of his followers, who have long been fishing on this very lake. So much so that he rests his head on a pillow in the stern of the boat and falls asleep. In the ancient world, the sea was a chaotic and fearful place, believed to be inhabited by monsters of the deep that could be subdued only by the power of God. So Jesus' ability to control the raging waters of the storm is a sign of his divine power, where even these ominous threats are contained by God's redemptive action. I want us to appreciate the very human note that Jesus sleeps while all the chaos unfolds around him. We see a person like any other, weary and exhausted, but also we see that Jesus is the only one in the boat with the faith, courage, and presence of mind to remain calm in the midst of a raging storm. He was not afraid because of his profound faith, we might say. Now, I often hear people talk about faith, as you can imagine. And it's a sacred privilege to hear and bear witness to people's stories and their journeys, and also to share my own story and journey. Yet it's worth pausing and reflecting on what we mean by the word faith. Marcus Borg makes the case that faith is best translated as loyalty. Loyalty. In our contemporary context, we tend to think of faith as belief, and we use the words interchangeably. In the marriage vows, we ask the couple if they will be faithful, and not will they believe in each other intellectually. When Jesus says, "Have faith in me," is he really saying, "Be loyal to me? Don't chase after false gods"? This is a very Hebraic notion. It's about fidelity. Belief, on the other hand, in its meaning, is closer to beloved. Beloved. Believe in me means love me, cleave to me, It's not an intellectual matter, but a giving of the heart. The word believe means literally, I give myself to this. Belief as love is a matter of the heart, and faith as loyalty is a matter of behavior. Nowhere does intellectual assent or dogma enter in. Faith is about life, practice, actualities on the ground, and human flourishing, which necessarily requires our courage and our endurance at times. I've been practicing yoga over the past several years through some really difficult times in my own life. And one of the aspects that I love and hate about yoga, maybe hate is a little too strong of a word, is holding particular poses for long periods of time. Just the other day, I was in a class holding a stretch that was getting more and more uncomfortable. And the teacher in that moment said, "Wow, you all are having an authentic moment. You should really embrace it." Then she carried on, "This is not just physical. This is about life. You can't run from this challenge. You have to work through it." She said all this, by the way, without being in the pose with us, just saying. To conclude today, the potential of great storms in life keeps us in fear because we forget that faith transforms all conditions. Faith can transform all conditions, particularly in the joining together of faith and courage. Let courage just be a part of our experience of faith. I'm watching this show right now called Shtisel. It's a show about Orthodox Jews set in Israel. And there's a rabbi on the show on an episode just last night that said, happy is the man that feareth always. Happy is the man that feareth always. What did he mean by this? I think he means that feeling some fear means that we're alive. We are in the ring and not on the sidelines. We're in the boat and not on the shore. We are truly living. If we don't feel fear, if we don't feel like we're on an edge, often even, then perhaps something is wrong. Take comfort today, friends, in what you have endured faithfully already in your life. Think of a past situation, something specific, how scary it was for you, how stressful, how maybe you laid awake at night for days or weeks or longer, and yet you've made it through. You're here. And what storm is it for you now? Jesus says you have the resources to be in this storm. Life seems to be encouraging and blessing and affirming your strength and resource even now. It may not be pretty. Rarely it's not pretty. And you may not be zen all the time, but that's okay. You're in it. There are people around you that love you and you love them, which is just as important. This is God with us in the sparks and details of our ordinary lives. The same word who created order from chaos continues doing so moment by moment. I hope you take some comfort in this truth and reality today. Blessings, friends. Amen.